So the title of the next record, Taking It to the Streets.
Taking It to the Streets. And that was a song I had written when I was still doing clubs, you know. In fact, I remember writing basically the crux of that song at a club gig. I was driving to a gig and I could hear the intro in my head and I didn't really know what it was because until I got to a piano and sussed out the chords. You know, I didn't even know if it worked really, but I remember thinking I could kind of hear it as a gospel thing. And I thought, you know, by the time I came up with the chorus of the song and, you know, whatever the song, the body of the song, I thought, well, you know, if I was going to cut this, I would maybe cut it in a church with a choir and a rhythm section and really go for that as a gospel thing, you know. But it was the only thing I really had besides Lose an End. And so they were going, well, what other songs you got? Ted was wondering, you know. So I just started playing this. Ted liked it and Pat liked it. And we started playing it down with the band. And it was kind of a whole other animal. It was still kind of gospel, of course, but kind of more with a rock edge, you know. And there was probably a couple other songs that Pat and I wrote together. And we started to put this, Tommy had a song, and I think Tyran even had a song on that album. And, you know, we just started putting together as many things as we could, you know, to come up with a 10-song, it's a 12-song album.
Is that a live take with a vocal overdubbed?
I remember singing that live. I think I probably redid the vocal later, you know. Many times we tried to, I would always have to sing some kind of guide track, you know, or any of us when we were doing our songs, you know, just to kind of keep track of where we were, you know.
How does the arrangement even come together with the staggered bass? So on the piano...
Well, that would have been Tyran's, you know, part that he would come up with, you know, and Pat and Jeff, they all came up with their own parts, and I would just play the song down for them. And we might discuss what could happen here or what could happen there, but...
Did they think it was odd, though? Because with even these voicings here that you're playing, when it starts with what's like F minor over G, and then it goes
major to
F to C, and then it goes down to like a D7 with the G, and then that D, then the F sharp drops down to F there. Yeah. Did they say, what are those chords? Because it's really...
Well, I think once they learned it, it was pretty self-explanatory. You know, it's not a progression you haven't heard before.
No, but the way that the arrangement, and then the da-da-da with did they just improvise the parts to it?
Pretty much, yeah. I think everybody kind of improvised their own part, or just kind of saw where they could, you know, join in, and that's pretty much the way we worked, you know.
I'd like to take a second to talk to you about this channel. This is actually Rick Beato 2. I've had it since the beginning of my main channel, and many of you are not subscribed. As a matter of fact, 87% of the people that watch this channel regularly are not subscribed. So I encourage you to hit the subscribe button on this channel and on my main channel. This will help me get even more of my dream guests and help continue to grow both channels. Thank you.
You know, in later years, poor Jeff and poor Keith, you know, we would butt heads because I would start to try to tell them what to play. You know?
Right.
You know, and then that, you know, that had diminishing returns, you know, but no fault of theirs. But, you know, but yeah, you know, in the early days, we just kind of I would play a song, you know, down like and everybody just...
So you jam on it for a while,
we would just kind of suss it out, and you know, I would know what the form of the song is and what the words were going to be.
Yeah.
But I kind of more in the beginning left it up to the guys to come up with, to tell me what they thought their part should be. You know?
So, but it would start with you doing a demo of the song, just playing it for them and singing it in the studio.
Yeah.
Everybody's kind of sitting around, mic'd up, or are you doing this in a rehearsal space first?
It keeps you running. I recorded in Jeff's garage first with him. All he had was this crappy little piano. It was like a Casio or something. You know?
Okay.
And it had this god-awful piano sound, you know, which is what Ted liked that when we got to, he goes, I love that piano sound. So we had to go out and find one of those somewhere.
One of the crappy pianos.
Yeah, you know, so this little Sound City electronic piano, you know, and the kind of thing you would buy your 5-year-old just to learn to play piano on, you know. And we used it on the record because it sounded like the demo, you know.
Right. Most of the stuff there probably was played during a live take, right? You count it off, or there's probably a couple of overdubs.
No, the tracks themselves were usually all of us in the studio playing a song down.
And no click track, right?
No, we didn't use click tracks.
You didn't use click tracks back then.
No.
Okay, so how far apart are you?
We were usually in a large room with baffling, you know, like these, probably like that thing behind you there.
Yeah.
Between us, you know, and those do a remarkable job of
Isolating.
separating, you know, what's coming out of, well, the amps we would put off in these ISO booths, you know,
Okay.
the little small rooms where you could do a vocal. And a lot of times, like, that's where, like, for instance, if I wasn't playing, I would be in the ISO booth singing to, you know, with the hopes that if we get a vocal, and if that's the vocal, it'll be isolated enough from all the other instruments. But because I played on all the stuff, it was typically a mic like this and some kind of baffling on the keyboard to keep what was out in the room from coming into.
So this could conceivably have been a live take.
It would have been into headphones, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and but yeah, we would, you know, baffle me off as much as possible, and what the drums I was hearing for the most part would be in my headphones.
Okay.
You know, not in the room. You know.
Would you do a few takes of a song like this, for example?
Yeah. Typically the drummer would be in the ISO booth so
Yeah.
that his drums didn't bleed in and everything. But yeah, we would do a couple takes, and then Ted would say, "Why don't you guys come on in and listen?" And you know, that either meant you're not getting it, and we need to talk about this, or I think we got it. You know.
Would it sound like that when you were listening? That's
Pretty
what
much.
it sounded like,
yeah,
right?
pretty much. Yeah, that track pretty much sounds just exactly like how.
Did
we
you
played it.
think to yourself, "Wow, this sounds amazing. This is going to be a massive hit"?
No, but you know, there was. I think there always was a time when you were recording where if something sounded like it was really working,
Yeah.
there was that feeling you'd get. It was like in your gut, you kind of an excitement where you go, "Wow, you know, that shit sounds good." You know? You know? And I had one of those moments with when the intro started, you know, because it was loud, it was on the big speakers.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you know, the intro comes in, and I remember Bobby LeKine was standing next to me, and I'm listening to it, and I could see him looking at me like, you know, and I think it was him that he said, "That shit sounds good," you know. and I kind of went, "Yeah, it's kind of cool," you know. And so, you know, it had that moment. We had that moment with that track that, you know, felt like, wow, we're on to something, you know. I probably went in and replaced the vocal that I did live, you know. So many of those vocals I did live, I wish we could have kept. Because when I was playing and singing the song, there was something about the connection between singing it and playing it
Yeah.
that was always better than I could ever do when I was standing up at the microphone singing to the track.